I want to make sure that I mention you have a chat feature to chat in, so please do so. Feel free to chat in as we go, and I will definitely try to check as we go and answer questions, and we'll definitely be checking it at the end. So we will get rolling here on our information. So today's topics will cover the roles of the digestive system, kind of big picture, what does it even do, factors that affect GI function, the 5R approach to gut health, which is part of my functional nutrition training, and then we'll talk about our Restore program that we offer at Launch My Health. And just real quick, I want to share, if you don't know who we are, we're Launch My Health. We are a virtual business offering nutrition and culinary services, all revolving around gut health and helping you feel your best, prevent or manage chronic conditions, and get to the root cause of symptoms or conditions. I have been a practicing dietitian for over 8 years. I used to work inpatient in the hospital, in the clinics, in cancer care, and in wellness and chronic disease management and prevention mainly. So that's a little bit about me. And again, thanks for joining. Okay, so the gut health connection. So obviously you're here and listening, watching, signed up. You obviously maybe have a reason that you're interested in learning about the gut. And maybe you know some of this already, that it's so important and it impacts more than just how we feel after we eat food. So in functional medicine, we say heal the gut first, because oftentimes some other symptom or condition going on in the body is related back to the gut not functioning optimally. So it's called the gateway to our health. It is where your body is exposed to the outside more than any other spot. 70% or more of your immune system lives in your gut. Sometimes I even say 80%. So somewhere in between there, that's called your GALT, or your gut associated lymphoid tissue. And if you're eating certain foods that your body isn't responding well to, or maybe you don't even know what foods they are, that is where the immune system comes in for some of those reactions. We'll talk about that in a second here. It contains 100 million neurons, more than the spinal cord. It is really connected to our brain, and neurotransmitters are produced in the gut. And I call it the highway to health, really, because it goes both directions. And so if you are feeling a certain way, maybe having some anxiousness, anxiety, nervousness, that's going to impact your gastrointestinal function. We kind of have all probably experienced that before, right? If we're nervous or jittery for something. And then our GI balance or microbial balance in our gut, if that's out of balance or not functioning properly, that can impact our mood, thinking, clarity, and our brain. So our gut does more than just digestion and absorption. Over 74% of Americans have lived with some type of GI related symptom. Maybe that's you, maybe that's why you're here, or for a loved one. And that's just the ones that report GI symptoms, right? And then next to the common cold, gut issues or gut discomfort is the most common reason that we are looking for over-the-counter remedies or medical advice. So if you're here experiencing something related to gut symptoms yourself, just know you're not alone and we are here to help. So there are 4 main roles that the digestive system plays, or that happen in the digestive system. There's digestion and absorption, there's elimination, there's the microbiota or the microbiome, kind of a hot word out there. There's the gut microbiome, and then there's barrier function. So we're just going to look really high level at each of those. And you might be wondering why there's a picture of a football stadium in the background. And that's because your gastrointestinal system is 25 to 28 feet long, which I know is not the size of a football field. Surprisingly, I know that. But it has all these little crypts and these microvilli, these finger-like projections in there, and they're all folded up and kind of scrunched in there nicely, all so they can function properly for good gut function. And the interesting thing is that if you were to take the gut out and spread it out, the square footage of that would be almost as big as a football field. So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot that can go wrong. There's a lot that can go well. And an interesting thing too is that women have a little bit longer gastrointestinal systems, or the end of the gastrointestinal system, the large intestine, a little bit longer than men. And so sometimes as women, women will experience more symptoms and have more issues just because of that little difference. So, all right, what does it do? And then we're going to get to what you can do to help it. So digestion, absorption, probably the most obvious. Nutrient absorption happens in the gut, in the digestive tract. So the important thing with digestion is that we're chewing thoroughly. That's where our digestion starts, in our mouth. Those digestive enzymes in your saliva work to break down carbohydrates and to start that process. So it's ready to go lower into your digestive system, and those nutrients are ready to be absorbed eventually into your body to help with multiple functions. It's also important for energy production. When we eat foods and drink beverages, we get macronutrients, which are for energy. And then we also get micronutrients, which, what are those? Vitamins and minerals. So we need both of these, and we want our digestive system to be functioning optimally to get the most benefit from the food we're eating. And then cellular growth and repair. So our gastrointestinal lining regenerates around every 5 days. Our gut cells are turning over every 2 to 4 days. Why does this matter? Because if you are experiencing a symptom that you're wondering if food is contributing to that, well, we have different protocols that take that fact into account. Because the cool thing is, if we figure out what food is causing that, if we take it away for a little bit, the gut lining can regenerate. And then eventually you might be able to eat that food again. So we can literally do some gut healing by figuring out what foods are triggers for us. And if food is the trigger. All right, so we won't go too far into this, don't worry, but stages of digestion. So it begins in the brain when you start to think about eating, right? Our mouth starts watering. Maybe you're starting to think about what you're gonna have for dinner tonight. And you kind of know how this feels like right now. But then when we take in food, like I said, the digestion really begins in our mouth. So chewing is a super important part of our digestive system and it functioning optimally. Then we know the food goes into our stomach, and that's where protein starts to get broken down with some digestive enzymes there, then into our small intestine, large intestine, and eventually what we don't need is eliminated as waste, which is a super important part of our digestive function. Because our digestive tract is exposed to 30 to 50 tons of food during the course of our lifetime, you know, we can't really choose if we eat or not, right? We need to eat. We need the nutrition from this food. We want to choose the foods that are going to help our gut function optimally throughout our life. And that can make the biggest impact on our long-term health. So elimination is the second function of the GI tract. And why is this important? Because 100% of us are exposed to toxins each day. So even if we were living in a bubble, we'd still be exposed to whatever that bubble is made out of. So whether you're in a new building or an old building for work or where you live, or whether you live in a city or in the country, and whether you're eating fully organic or not, we all are exposed to some toxins through different chemicals in what we're putting on our skin and what's in our shampoo, etc., and in our food. And so a big function of your GI tract is to work with your liver to detoxify and help remove what your body doesn't need. Why does this matter and why am I mentioning it? Because it's important that you're having a bowel movement daily. If you have 2 to 3 and it's not like loose stools, great. If you just, some people will just feel like they need to go to the bathroom kind of after they eat food eventually, like a little bit later, because your gut function is functioning properly and just removing the waste. But at least 1 per day is ideal. And I cannot tell you how many people I've worked with over the years who they didn't really know that, and that's completely fine. That's why I'm here. But we don't talk about it a lot, right? And so if you're not sure if you're having a bowel movement daily, track it. I want you to track for a week and just write it down on paper, or maybe in the notes in your phone, just put BM. I promise you it's worth it, so you can see how often you're having a bowel movement, because that is where the toxins that your liver works hard to detoxify are removed from your body. And if you're not having that regular bowel movement, what happens to those toxins that your liver said, okay, let's get these out? They recirculate into your body, and that can lead to excess hormones, or having too high of certain hormone levels, which leads to a lot of negative impacts on our health over time, and other issues related to excess toxins. Plus, our body has to work harder to detoxify. So, all right, I could go on and on about that because it's so important if you can't tell. So just track. If you're not sure, track and see, and then we'll have some tips here in a second that could help with having regular bowel movements if you aren't. Microbial balance is another function of the GI tract. What does that mean? The microbiome, maybe you have heard about it. There's a bunch of cool research going on, and it's been known for a while, but there's more attention getting shown, I'd say, on the impact that those bugs, those good gut bugs in our body have on our health. So this is what I was talking about with different neurotransmitters and how that can impact our mood. So basically our microbiome, we have many of them. One is like our skin microbiome. We're talking about the gut microbiome. That's the bacteria, fungi, yeast, viruses, and more living in our gut. So we're kind of like the landlord. And so they're renting space from us in our gastrointestinal system. And we want to make sure that we are treating them well. We're giving them a nice environment to live in. So they want to thrive. They want to maybe, build families and neighborhoods and communities of these good gut bugs. So how do we do that? There are certain foods that can help. And we're going to look at that in a second here. But it's super important that we're helping those good gut bugs thrive so we have good balance of that bacteria. They help with maintaining our digestion, our immune system significantly, and they assist in producing vitamins in your body. They're associated with lower rates of obesity, diabetes, so helping manage blood sugars, and GI disease, of course. Also, there's just really cool stuff about specific bacteria, probiotics, making impact on, again, depression, anxiety, and our mood, and having a big difference on helping manage that. Okay, and what impacts our microbiome? So part of it is our lifestyle. So our microbiome changes in response to its environment. So again, thinking of those gut bugs that are renting space from us in our body, if we are giving them a super stressed out environment, that is going to lead to unhappy gut bugs over time, or an imbalance of negative bacteria, positive bacteria, or beneficial and not beneficial. Surgery can make an impact on our gut microbiome. If we're sick, sometimes maybe after you're sick, you might feel like, gosh, my gut never really went back to normal since then. Maybe we need to focus on microbial balance. Trauma, trauma can make a big impact on many things in our body. We can be kind of holding on to that. And so working through past traumas with a specialist or a practitioner can make a big difference on GI function. Eating patterns, of course, what we're eating, and medications. So sometimes we need a medication, right? Sometimes we might need an antibiotic for something. Great, but we want to make sure that we're helping our body, our environment and our microbiome by maybe taking a probiotic while you're doing the antibiotic. Always ask your doctor, of course, based on what antibiotic you're on, but that's usually helpful. Or starting it right when you're done with that antibiotic. Okay, and barrier functions. So the last function, then we get to the 5R approach. I don't see any questions in the chat. So just a reminder, find that little chat button. Looks like a dialogue box, and please chat in as we go if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions. So barrier function, what does that mean? I call it the security system. So we have our gut bugs, we have our operations of digestion and absorption, and we have our security system. So that's securing the nutrients that we're taking in and making sure that only the good nutrients that we need are getting digested from those foods and absorbed into our bloodstream. And then what do they do once they're in our bloodstream? Well, they help with reducing inflammation. They help with maintaining homeostasis in our body, AKA optimal health, feeling our best, and preventing disease or managing certain diseases. So what is this picture exactly? Well, here's the food particles that you've eaten. They're all being digested. So this is your GI tract. Imagine they just came from your stomach. They're going into the small intestine, and they get to these microvilli, these finger-like projections, and they're ready to be absorbed into your bloodstream to circulate throughout the rest of your body to help with immunity, healing, etc. So when we look at this area here, you can see there's a nice tight junction, we call it. There's a nice tight gate or security system there where they're not going to let through just anything. They're only letting through certain nutrients that we need. But what can happen due to any of those things listed before, like having to be on medication for a long time, certain ones, stress, trauma, eating patterns, what am I forgetting, illnesses, is we can start to develop this leaky gut. And that's where the security system just becomes a little relaxed and lets more through than it should. It lets some things through that our body doesn't like and can react negatively to. That goes into our bloodstream, and you can see it leads to inflammation. For some people, if they have like a genetic disposition, autoimmunity, that would be things like, could be like Crohn's disease, celiac disease, fibromyalgia, what am I forgetting? Rheumatoid arthritis, a bunch of different Sjogren's. There's a ton of different conditions out there. Hashimoto's, hypothyroiditis. So, and then it can lead to food allergy and intolerance. So just negative impacts on our body. So what we want to do is help the GI system to be functioning more like this, tightly for security, and not just letting food particles that we don't want through and going throughout the rest of our body. And I see that I have an awesome question in the chat. I'm going to get to that in a second here, so thanks for asking. So what impacts our gut health? So we know the functions of it. These are the lifestyle factors, kind of a longer list. So chronic stress, food and beverage choices, our speed of eating, so how fast we're eating, sleep, kind of obvious, right? We know we don't feel well if we don't sleep long enough or get good quality sleep, but that can impact your digestion the next day and longer. So if that's a pattern happening regularly, I always say, even though I'm a dietitian, sleep is number one. If you're not sleeping well, let's focus on that. And maybe there's some different things we need to do there, but that can make a big difference in this. Physical activity helps with motility and regularity, medications, food, allergies, intolerance, sensitivity, and toxins. What did I forget? I do want to mention one thing too, that if you're in kind of a chronic stressed out state, that's that fight or flight mode. We need fight or flight mode if we're like running from a bear or something, or in a short-term acute setting of stress. It's a good thing. But what happens is if you're running from a bear, you don't want to have to go to the bathroom, right? So your digestive system is actually inhibited when you're in fight or flight mode. Why am I sharing this? Because if you are in kind of chronic fight or flight mode, day to day, go, feeling like, you don't really get time to just relax or breathe, or any slow down time, that would make a big impact on your digestion. So again, fight or flight mode inhibits our digestion. And so just kind of making sure that you're taking time to slow down throughout the day can make a difference. Okay, so here's the 5-hour approach. This is, again, from kind of originated with functional medicine or from functional medicine practices. You might see the 4-hour approach also. They're both correct. Sometimes they don't include rebalance. I like to include rebalance because that goes back to sleep and stress and doing things to combat that. So we have remove, replace, re-inoculate, repair, and rebalance. So the first one is to remove. Now, at lunch, we believe that eating should be enjoyable and that there's different traditions and cultural traditions and holiday traditions and things that we do that include food that are important. It's a very social thing. And so we don't like to have you cut out foods if you don't have to. Let me just put it that way. We want to focus on getting those nutrient-dense foods. But when it comes to GI symptoms or other symptoms like some of those ones I mentioned before, the first part of the protocol is to remove the common food triggers. And so this is a short-term elimination diet protocol that I definitely recommend seeing myself or another practitioner who is trained in the elimination diet protocol to do it. And so what we do is we remove those common food triggers for about a month minimum. And that gives your body enough time for those gut cells to turn over, like I mentioned, that lining to regenerate a little bit. So you start to feel better and see a reduction in symptoms. If you don't see a reduction in symptoms, then it might not be one of those common food triggers and we have a different way, different list or different things to look at. So that's the gold standard for figuring out food sensitivities. Real quick lesson, food allergies would be a quick response, like a peanut allergy is a really common one that most people have heard of. This is talking about sensitivities where those can take a few days to actually show up, and they're a longer term or a delayed reaction. So we remove the common food triggers like gluten, soy, corn, dairy, shellfish, peanuts, caffeine, alcohol, and processed and added sugar. I'm probably forgetting one or two. Oh, beef and pork too sometimes. So we have a whole protocol to follow to give your gut a break from those. And then we retry them one at a time to figure out which foods are food triggers for you. It's super important that you reintroduce those foods using a protocol. And so that's why we do the elimination diet, to test that out and figure out what is a trigger. And then it helps give you control over your symptoms or kind of know what food maybe you want to keep out for a little bit longer to see if you can get rid of that sensitivity. Low FODMAP plan is a different a different type of an elimination diet. And this is if you have like an IBS diagnosis or you're wondering if you have gut symptoms that kind of go back and forth between diarrhea and constipation. Maybe you have like abdominal distension or bloating after you eat, where you just feel like, oh man, I can't button my pants. Maybe you have belching or burping, heartburn, reflux, indigestion, the whole gamut of things. Low FODMAP is clinically used mainly for IBS, but sometimes it makes an impact with different things as well. So we have the elimination protocol there. We remove those common food triggers and give your gut a break from them. And then we retry them one at a time to figure out what you're actually responding to. It's the gold standard for figuring out food sensitivities or intolerances that are contributing to symptoms. And remember that it could be more than just a gut symptom. It could be joint pain, skin issues, fatigue, brain fog, headaches, migraines. What else? Low energy. I said fatigue, didn't I? The list goes on and on. Hot flashes. There's a variety of different things. Okay, number 2 is replace. So that's talking about replacing digestive function. What does that mean? The first thing is we don't want to have to add in supplements if we don't need to, right? Food first and lifestyle first. So the first one here is mindful eating. That comes back to that fight or flight mode I was talking about. If you're constantly feeling your body's in that fight or flight mode, chronic stress, you're not slowing down to eat, your body can't digest your food well, you're not going to get the nutrients that you're maybe cooking or purchasing and making sure you eat, right? You're not going to digest and absorb those nutrients as well, and it can lead to symptoms over time and different things that we looked at. So what do I want you to do? If you are a fast eater and you know it, I want you to focus on this one first. This can make a huge difference, and it is super fun when I work with clients and they say, wow, I did not realize how big of a difference that made. So what are some tactics for that or strategies? Well, slowing down. What does that mean? Literally sitting down to eat. Some people don't do it. And so if you think that sounds like a no-brainer, good, keep doing that. But if you don't sit down to eat, or if you are eating at your desk during the workday, if you can even turn away from your desk, if you're still at the desk, at least you're looking at your food. You want to use all of your senses. Look at your food. Pick out as many colors as you can. Feel your food with your hands. Other cultures do this well, or some cultures do that really well, and they have a lower incidence of eating disorders in some of those cultures when they're touching their food more with their hands. Pretty neat. Hearing your food when it's cooking or chopping, and then smelling your food when you're preparing it or cooking it, or if you pick it up from somewhere, still do this. And then tasting your food, of course. So eating it slowly, putting the food on your tongue and giving it time so your taste buds can actually take in all the different tastes. Setting the table is another good strategy for mindful eating. I got like a $1.99, $1 section placemats from Target a while back, and that's just what I use, and I use it even at breakfast if I can. If it's not like a big breakfast or anything, even I try to use it all the time. It helps me center into my food. So I want you to practice this and then chew 30 times each bite. So no matter what it is, obviously if it's like a smoothie or something, that can be hard to do, but try to count your chews and see how many times you're chewing before you swallow. Without thinking about it, just count it and then try to get higher, try to get closer to 30. And that's going to help you break down that food like we talked about with those digestive enzymes in your mouth, then that digests better in your stomach and then into your small intestine. All right, put on some fun tunes while you cook or prepare your food that make you happy, be in a good relaxed state. Other things that can make an impact are digestive enzymes. I would meet with a dietitian or myself, like a dietitian, or another one, or your physician before you actually start any of these. Just because I don't know all your health history, I'd like to meet with you, or you should talk to your physician before starting it. But digestive enzymes help break down that food, and sometimes we need more of those. Hydrochloric acid is in your stomach, and as we age, the amount of hydrochloric acid goes down. And so if you have heartburn or kind of you feel pain after eating or kind of immediate reaction or burping, belching, this can be helpful. Definitely talk to your doctor before you would start that, or a dietitian. But as we age, like I said, that the amount of that goes down. Or if you've taken like allergy medications your whole life, that can reduce the acid a little bit. So things to know. And then deglycerized licorice root is not like the yummy licorice that we think of, but they do come in chewables sometimes, and that can be helpful for heartburn related symptoms. All right, we just have 3, 4, and 5, and they're quicker, so we'll make sure we wrap up soon and we get to the questions. Reinoculate is number 3. This is all about those bacteria that you're hosting or that you're the landlord of in your GI tract. What can you do? Help your good bacteria thrive so they make families and communities, neighborhoods and communities. So probiotics would be a source of some of those good bacteria. Yogurt, miso, and tempeh. Kombucha is another one not listed on here. Anything fermented that is also not pasteurized, like sauerkraut, if you get one that's not pasteurized, can be helpful or is a source of probiotics. There's a question in here, do I recommend a daily probiotic and prebiotic? Yes, I do for most people. So again, without knowing everybody's health history, for most people, I generally recommend 25 billion colony forming units. And you want to make sure that it's multi-strain, a multi-strain probiotic. Send me an email. You'll see my email at the end. If you want to just jump on a quick Zoom sometime to talk about supplements, I'd love to give you more specific recommendations for you, because based on what's going on in your gut and your goals, there's some different recommendations for probiotics that I have in different strains. Some of them can help, like if you have loose stools, there's a certain strain that can help, and vice versa. So yes, and then prebiotics are the components of food that feed those good bacteria. So it's not all fiber, but these are fibrous foods as well. So artichokes, garlic, leeks, onion, tofu, flax, and oats are some of the most common. Another one is jicama, love it. So having these regularly is important, and especially when you're taking a probiotic supplement or eating a probiotic food. Timing is important for this. So if you're here today and one of your digestive symptoms is abdominal distension or bloating right after you eat, you might want to hold off on these foods, and let's connect, because there can be different things where these foods actually wouldn't help with that at the time. Just want to give you a warning. So repair is consuming key nutrients. There's a few more than this, but I wanted to highlight these. Vitamin A, vitamin C, and omega-3 fatty acids specifically can be helpful for repairing your gastrointestinal system, and they support your liver with detoxification. So if you're looking at this list and wondering, what should I start with? If you're not eating omega-3 fatty acid, like fish, salmon, or tuna regularly, and you like them, start that weekly. Twice a week would be great. Or plant sources, walnuts, leafy greens, pumpkin seeds. What am I forgetting? Flaxseed, chia seed. You know, having that regularly, those plant sources daily, if you can, is a great way to get some more omega-3s in, and that's going to be a repairing nutrient. And then the fifth R is rebalance. So this is that lifestyle piece. So taking time to make sure that you slow down, whether if you can do it each day, throughout the day, even just practicing some deep breathing techniques will help shift your body from that fight or flight mode that you might be in, go, chronic stress, to rest and digest mode. That's the opposite mode. It even is called rest and digest. The technical term is parasympathetic, but don't worry about that. You can digest your food in that mode. So if you can even just start doing some deep breathing, you know, place your hands on your rib cage or belly area and just make sure that you feel that area moving as you inhale, filling up. Hope you did one with me. If you can do like 2 or 3 of those before you eat, that can help shift you to that digestive mode. And I promise you it's worth it. Take less than a minute to take a few deep breaths like that. And of course, do it throughout the day if you can, besides when you eat, but start with when you eat if you're not doing it at all. If there's anything you can do to manage stress, do it. Something you can be in the moment with. Maybe it's nature, maybe it's reading, calling a friend, being with family, playing hopscotch like this person is, pickleball, whatever you like. I recently got into pickleball, but whatever you like that can be in the moment with. Movement, I already mentioned. Sleep is number 1. So just making that a priority. If you're a night owl, trying to make sure you get enough sleep and good quality sleep. Having fun, making sure you're planning fun things regularly, relaxation, maybe a bubble bath or an Epsom salts bath, and that deep breathing. So the rebalance, again, comes back to restoring gut health, because these all make an impact on that. So to review the 5 R's: remove. I recommend doing this with a practitioner, myself, or another trained one. I'd love to see you. Replace, starting with those mindful eating techniques. Reinoculate, probiotic, prebiotic foods. Repair, omega-3 fatty acids would be the first one to start with if you're not sure on that list. And then rebalance, so those lifestyle pieces. And remember that it's slow medicine. It's not a quick fix usually. That being said, whenever I start protocols like this with people, within the first week, usually we see some improvement, or they can start to tell that things are changing a little bit, but it takes a little while. It takes that consistency and changing patterns, changing habits. And so give it some time and repetition. Real quick, I just want to share about the Restore program. This is our Restore GI Health program at Launch My Health. Like I said, we're all virtual, so you can be tuning in from anywhere in all our programming. And so it's all through MindBody Online or Zoom, but it starts out with a private nutrition session with me. I have you fill out some information ahead of time, and of course, and with some health history and goals. And then we figure out what the right protocol would be for you. So we have 3 protocols, different ones based on different clinical reasons. And so based on our intake session, then you'd be enrolled into one of those 6-week nutrition and cooking protocols that are going to be guiding you. It's myself and Chef Jeremy who teach that. And we have meal plans and cooking classes, nutrition classes, supplement protocols, if necessary, to lead you through that for 6 weeks. And you're in a group cohort. So you tune in each week. If you have to miss, they're recorded. So the live session's recorded, so you can not get behind. You have access to tons of recipes from Chef Jeremy that support you on the plan that you're on. And you have support from me throughout. So you would do the intake session with me. We figure out what protocol would be best. You enroll into that group protocol. It's super fun too, to be doing it with other people who are maybe experiencing similar symptoms as you, but you're not doing it alone. And it gives you some good accountability and support throughout. And then you have 6 months worth of access to our live cooking and nutrition classes and the on-demand library. So we have classes outside of that that you can join too. So that is all I have for you today. We do have a special code, $100 off the Restore program, the one I just told you about. And so because you are here in this class, we wanted to offer that out to you. It was a deal we had going on, and we thought we'd extend it to you for being here. So the code is Restore 100. You will also receive an email from Launch My Health shortly after this class with all that information in it. But I have my email here. So if you'd like to connect, if you have questions, like I mentioned about supplements too, or about the programming, shoot me an email, and I'd love to connect with you soon to see if it's a good fit. So other than that, I see some questions in the chat. I'm going to stop my share and look at this chat quick. It says, my daughter has been diagnosed with IBS-C since she was 16. Nothing seems to help. She eats a limited diet for about 2 years now. Does that hurt her ability to heal if she has been on a limited diet for so long? She eats plain chicken and fish regularly and green leafy veggies. No sugar, still no FODMAP foods. Wow. Well, first off, nice work to your daughter for committing to that. And, she's obviously been following that for a long time. And I'm sure that can get kind of frustrating if it's not working, right? Or it doesn't feel like it's helping. So there's multiple reasons that she could still be experiencing that. And what I'd ask is if she's gone to a physician and had any stool testing to see exactly what the imbalances are for her, or if she's done an elimination diet besides FODMAPs that's cutting out those common food triggers. So I would love to meet with you or chat with you more to find out, again, more specifically what she's done to see if we could help, or I could recommend what to ask a physician for specific stool testing and stuff like that. Any other questions? I don't see any coming in. What about collagen? Yeah, so are you referring to like as a supplement? I'm guessing. Are those good to take daily? So collagen has become super trendy and it can be helpful for sure. Okay, they said yes. Collagen can be helpful for sure. It's if you get the right type of collagen supplement, it can be beneficial. But here's my thing: whenever something becomes super trendy, is we don't want to only do that, right? Because and kind of expect that to do everything. So thinking of all the different aspects, those 5 R's, make sure that, you know, check in with each of those and see if there's any gaps there besides just kind of to make sure you're not relying on collagen alone. What's in a good supplement? You want to make sure it's micronized collagen because your body can only absorb and use the collagen if it's micronized to a certain small size. So a lot of the collagens out there that are super popular, those powders, they're not micronized small enough. And so you might get a big bottle of it, but you're not actually absorbing as much as you should be when you're taking it. And so I like orthomolecular collagen, it's called. And it's a good brand. It's micronized, very small. So you only need like a small scoop of it when you use it. It also has some good ingredients in there for joint health besides collagen. So if you're interested in that, again, shoot me an email if you want, and I can connect you with how to order that. But as far as gut health goes, you could take it, but make sure you're not relying on it as the only thing to do. Does that make sense? It's kind of like when agave became popular. Everybody's like, I'm going to dump agave in my coffee. I'm going to dump it here and use it all the time. There was benefit to it, but not when we do it all the time. It was just a good alternative to other things, right? Okay, how do you think? And then another thing would be doing like making sure you're getting good protein sources for collagen. How do you figure out what you can eat during an elimination diet? Yeah, so there are so many foods that you can eat during an elimination diet. I promise you, I have done it myself. I got into this because I was a patient of functional medicine myself. Then I went and got trained in it. I have led many people through them over the years. There's a whole long list of foods you can consume during the elimination diet. And with my experience, I have created many lists even of products that you can purchase, like convenience products or a sauce, ketchups, things like that, that fit into the protocol that are at your regular stores like Cub, Target, Walmart, Whole Foods too, right? But not just those specialty grocery stores. And there's a ton of whole real foods that you can consume during the elimination diet that taste good. And that's where Chef Jeremy comes into teaching you how to do that. He has a great lasagna recipe that he recently developed that fits in during the elimination diet. And I have a ton of them too that I've found over the years. So that's why we're here at Launch, to help guide you through that. So if you're trying to figure out if food's contributing to your symptoms, definitely reach out to us because we can at least have a conversation and just see if the programming would be a good fit, so we can help guide you through it to figure out, again, what those food triggers might be. And if it doesn't feel like a good fit, that's okay. After we talk, that's okay. But we just want to get to know you a little bit more. Bovine collagen, is that the same as micronized? Not necessarily. Bovine collagen could be a good one. Ancient Nutrition, I think, has a bovine collagen. That's a good one. And the other important thing is to make sure it has 3 forms of micronized collagen in it. So I would go to the website of whatever brand of collagen you have and just read the about information, see if it says micronized on there, and then see if it tells you which forms of collagen it has and what they're beneficial for. Because some are beneficial for skin and hair and nails, some are beneficial for joint health more. Also, what about triple chlorophyll? Are they okay to take? I'm not familiar with what the triple means in front of that. But again, that could be, I know like some of those supplements, it's like a green powder and you mix a little bit of it with water and drink it as a beverage. So I don't know your health history. So again, we should do a one-on-one. It's a complimentary supplement consultations. You can tell me health history, any medications you're on, anything like that. So I can tell you if, so I can find out more to make sure that's a good thing for you to take. It's another thing where I don't rely on that supplement for getting all your greens in or nutrients, but it can be a good thing that fits into a healthy lifestyle. It says hydrolyzed. Is that the same as micronized? Not necessarily. I mean chlorophyll capsule from GNC. Yeah, so it's probably a good supplement, but I would need to know your health history in order to tell you if I think it's a good thing for you to take or not. For most people, it's not a bad thing. Just don't rely on it for all your nutrients. Okay. Oh, another question, where does turmeric come into play? Turmeric's a great anti-inflammatory component. To take, can take it as a supplement. You can take it as a powder, mix it into a smoothie or something, or into tea. Sometimes it comes in tea as well. And I recommend trying to get it as naturally as possible and adding it into different things. If you are like on a blood thinner or something though, don't just increase your turmeric intake dramatically or start a supplement without talking to a practitioner. Is it okay to drink it with peppermint leaves daily? To drink the chlorophyll? Peppermint leaves should be fine if you're just kind of mashing them in some tea. Sounds like it's a tea or something. Peppermint can be helpful for digestive symptoms. So definitely not a bad idea if you're tolerating that well. It says no turmeric. Is it okay to drink it with peppermint leaves daily? We should chat. I don't see it being an issue, but again, I'd want to know your health history. And just be careful with having the same things every single day, because sometimes your body can develop a sensitivity to that over time. So I think it sounds like it's a good habit. And there shouldn't be any issue with that as far as I can think of right now. But again, I just sort of want to know your health history a little bit more to be able to give you more specific recommendations. All right, well, thanks so much everybody for tuning in tonight. You'll get an email shortly with all this information and that discount code. My email again is megan@launchmyhealth.com. So send me an email if you want to connect. And again, I would love to see if it feels like a good fit or do a supplement consultation as well. Have a wonderful evening.